Hi, everyone, welcome to Friday. How's it going? I'm fighting off a cold. We're in like day 4 of a cold, which makes me think C word, but let's not say it. But we're whatever. We're not in the worst shape, but I was in bed all day. Just you got to sleep these things off. So late video today. Sorry about that. But I'm sure I'll eventually get better. I wonder if the ladies of the world are happy that the C word has gone from a 4-letter word to a 5-letter word, right? We've replaced it with a different word. So anyway, let's talk about sports, and we're also going to talk about the strategy. We're in day 6 of this now, since I started betting both sides of the game and picking the proper games to do that. So I'm going to talk about that because I mean, I'm not going to say this lightly, but you actually can win what's looking like every day. I want to come up with a formula to explain how to do this and when to make bets on certain teams. But we're just talking. I mean, my bankroll's gotten up to about $500 now, and essentially from under a couple hundred is I think what it started at, and it's just been steadily winning every day. Nothing out of the ordinary. The only way that you lose betting this strategy of taking the team the algorithm predicts is going to win when they fall behind at a positive line in the game, the only way you lose is if you don't pay attention to the rest of the game and don't make a bet on the other side, or if the game flow is in such a manner where the team we thought was going to win never ever comes back throughout the game to look like they are going to win. They don't even have to come back to win. They just have to come back to look like they're going to win at some point, and the other team gets a positive line and you bet them. So the only way you lose is making a bet. Team you bet never ever comes back to even make it close enough to look like they're going to win. So that's it, and that just simply doesn't happen very frequently. Most games that are close have lead changes. So we'll talk about the sports. NBA first. Here's the look at NBA. A couple things I saw on here are stuff at the top of the list. It means it favors this team more, right? So are there any underdog lines, right, for these teams? There's one for the Rockets because the Warriors are so injured. So that's probably a good game to try the Rockets on the money line to start, because they actually have they actually would win without injuries, which is amazing. It's fascinating, right? That it would have the Rockets. So it has them there. So that's one. Also, the Thunder down here, similar situation. They're even healthier than the Suns. So these two games are looking like good games to start off with straight bets on these teams. And hopefully they get off to leads, and these teams then become underdogs, essentially, or positive lines. Other things here, this Brooklyn game might be another one that's close because they have traded away some of their players. So some of these team stats that are contributing to Brooklyn are a little inflated, but it still says they would win. So this game will probably have lead changes as well. This would be a bad game to do it, probably the Clippers game, because we think they're going to win at minus 285. The Milwaukee Bucks, probably a bad game to do this as well, because they're already at minus 170. Here we have a close game between Atlanta and Cleveland. That's probably a good one. If whoever drops down by 10 in the first half, you'll want to bet them and then see if the other team comes back. And this game's probably basically if the Timberwolves fall behind a lot and get to a positive line, you could bet them. Otherwise, this game becomes really difficult to bet. So that's NBA. And for those of you who can only bet before the game, you can see that these teams up here at reasonable lines, Brooklyn and Washington, although what we talked about with Brooklyn trading away their players might have an impact, but Washington over the Knicks is a reasonable line at 6% margin there. All right, so that is NBA. Let's talk about hockey. Today in hockey, some interesting things going on today. So you've got Minnesota, Toronto, excellent goaltending matchup. We are therefore predicting an under. I bet you that's set at 6.5. 6. So we've got an under prediction in this game. All right, Minnesota, Toronto team that usually scores some goals, but says under there. Tougher call on who wins. Says Toronto can win, but that's a really good goalie for Minnesota. So well, there probably won't be a ton of lead changes in this game because it's not expecting a lot of goals. Minnesota at plus 180 is excellent, given how few goals are supposed to be in this game anyway. So that's a possibility for taking Minnesota to start this game and then see if they can get off to a lead, and then you can get Toronto. Buffalo and Florida. Here we have poor goaltending matchup in these two games. So expect some goals over here. It says Buffalo beats Florida at plus 170. They did have a back-to-back game, but that is clearly another game that there may be some lead changes, especially with the goaltending matchup looking like this. So similar to Buffalo and Tampa Bay trading a ton of goals yesterday, it predicts a similar type structure to that game today. So starting off with a Buffalo pick and hoping they get ahead is what the strategy calls for in this game. Next, Montreal and Philly. Bad goaltending matchup. It thinks that Montreal, because they are playing much better out of the break than Philadelphia and Carter Hart going, that this is another game where you come in and you take Montreal in the beginning, hope they get up to a lead, and then take Philadelphia at an underdog line. Next, Ottawa and Carolina has Carolina as the number one pick of the day. Does not expect lead changes in this game as Carolina's goaltender is better, strength is better, streaking is better. So not a good game for betting both sides. Probably a game that Carolina wins here, but they are at minus 230. Islanders and the Kings. Here we have Jonathan Quick's rating, very bad. Wow. Says that the Islanders barely pull this off. Close game, might be a good game for lead changes, but nobody you can really bet before the game because you don't have a good enough line. Colorado and Winnipeg thinks Winnipeg will beat Colorado barely in a low scoring game as well with some good goaltenders here. The over under in that game is 5.5. Darn. So that's tough to bet the under there. There could be some lead changes here. We'll just have to wait and see, but nothing good to start off the game. All right. So in summary, for those of you playing both games and live betting them like I am, Minnesota, Buffalo, Montreal, all three teams that I'll be starting off and hoping there are lead changes in those games. Now let's go over to college basketball. College basketball has a day of not a huge day for college basketball, only 24 games. So what do? We always look for home teams, first of which there are 14, it looks like. I don't know why I'm getting text messages. All right, keep going here. So home teams. So yesterday we did really well with our value picks and our home teams. There are 4 value picks again today. So let's see who those are. Those are going to be where the implied line is worse than the actual money line offered. That's what triggers a value pick right here. Okay. So like this game we think that Louisiana is supposed to be minus 223. It's what the algorithm would predict as the line. They're only minus 190. So they come out as a value pick. Other ones, actually, let's just sort them to the top because that's the easiest way to view them quickly. More sort options descending by line value here. So it's the top 4. Yep. So it's saying that North Alabama, Louisiana, Manhattan, and Stetson all home, all very reasonable lines here. And anything below line value of like minus 50, I've always said, is usually profitable, which means that all the way down to here. So it's really 7 games. North Alabama, Louisiana, Manhattan, Stetson, Niagara, Louisiana, Monroe, Canisius a little bit injured. And then you have more injuries down here, which you definitely could consider staying away from. Grand Canyon at that 88% injury. But these seven, the way we do with home teams, you're looking at probably going 5-2 at the worst, 6-1 or 7-0 on these teams. So that's what it likes in terms of home teams. Let's go back to sorting by margin. And we're going to open up everything. And so the games that I'm going to focus on for the betting both sides strategy are games that are hanging out below 10% margin games. So it's these ones all the way down to Colorado State, at Grand Canyon, App State. Any of these teams fall down early. Be careful with Grand Canyon, but the rest of them, any of these teams fall down early, you're gonna see me betting these teams at a positive line and hoping they come back so that I can bet the other side. So it's these games that are the best to focus on, and sometimes almost up to about 20% margin for away teams, which brings you all the way up to here. So you could even consider this Marshall and Eastern Kentucky is another one that could be in there. So in summary, you saw the home value picks at the top, four value picks, and then about 7 picks in total you could take. And I'm just going to keep coming back with how I'm doing every day, and we'll keep working on this bankroll and see if we really can continue to accrete on a daily basis, because the way I'm seeing these games form is, it's been about 1 out of every 5 games, 1 out of 4, maybe we'll be generous. 1 out of every 4 games, we don't seem to have the opportunity to bet the other team, right? We didn't play it right, or this team never came back or something. It's definitely under 25% of the games, which means if 3 out of every 4 games you're able to do this, right, then that means you need to profit or guarantee or bank profit of at least 33% on every game you are able to do this. Then you will be even. If you profited 33% on 3 games, you would end up covering that 4th game that you lost exactly. So you'd break even. So that means that really anytime you can bank profit or guarantee both sides of the game where you're guaranteeing more than 33% profit on the game, like you get both teams at plus 133 or better, right? If you got both teams at plus 133, that's essentially getting 33%. I'm sorry. No, that's not right. That's not right. You need to get them at 160 or better, don't you? Because it's 2 bets. I think. No, I'm wrong. No, never mind. So I'm right. It's plus 133 or better. No, that is correct. Because you make 33% on your initial wager, even though you wager it twice, you still are going to make 33% on your initial wager. Yeah, that is, I believe, yeah, because you'll get to bet the other side of the game when you don't get a chance to. So you only lose 1 bet on that. Basically, anytime you're able to bet both sides in the game and you get both teams at a positive line, even if you get those teams at plus 101, only make 1%, you still win. You still don't lose. So it's you only get to make that second bet when you have the positive line. So yeah, I am going to reiterate what I just said. You need to bank your lines at plus 133 or better, and you're going to find yourself profitable in the long run doing this. And I've been able to bank. I mean, 133 is actually pretty low. Oftentimes you'll see these lines fluctuating 200s and stuff like that. There was a game yesterday. Sorry, this last game last night. This was the last game I bet last night. Oh my gosh, did I crush this game? It was the Hawaii Riverside game last night. So what happened was it had Riverside barely winning this game on the road. Hawaii got up to a 11 or 12 point lead toward the end of the first half. I got Riverside at plus 500 because they were on the road. Out of nowhere in the second half, they go on a 19-3 run, take the lead on Hawaii. I got Hawaii at plus 350. So I got plus 500 and plus 350. That means I'm banking at least 2.5 units no matter what happens. And I ended up banking 4 units because Riverside held on to win the game. Those type of situations they happen more often than you would think. So even though looking at Riverside down 12 in the first half, you think you're like, oh my gosh, they're on the road. There's no way they're coming back. Yeah, there's a way they're coming back. And they did. And in that situation, that's exactly what you want. Large lead in the first half, completely evaporates in the second half, and the other team becomes a huge underdog late. Excuse me. That is the secret sauce to winning this. So continue to look for games on this side of the algorithm here. These teams falling behind in the first half, that is the way to play this. And I've been consistent on that since I started doing this, because that was the theory behind this to begin with. And it has been playing itself out 5 days in a row. So we'll go to day 6 and we will keep working on this bankroll and betting more and more and more, because it seems to have a low variance in terms of when it loses. So we're going to start betting big. And I would eventually imagine that FanDuel is probably going to limit my ability to wager. I know that they can do that, where they'll not let you bet more than like $300, $400, $500 on a game or something. I can see us getting to that point the way that this is accreting so steadily. So we will wait to see the response. as we keep doing this. But live betting good lines, paying attention and taking advantage of distorted fluctuations in lines is what we are doing. We're not necessarily rooting for winners. We're rooting for lead changes and looking for close games. That is the new name of the game. And so we'll continue doing that. All right. Good luck, everyone, on Friday. May all your picks be winning. I'll probably be back for a recap video tonight to see if day 6 is also profitable, and hopefully it will be. So good luck. May all your picks be winning.